You shifted uncomfortably, your bare feet sinking slightly into the soft grains of the sand. The sensation was soothing, but the rapid thumping of your heart refused to let you relax. Jungkook stood a few feet away. His figure stood perfectly by the orange glow of the sun, camera in hand, and an uncontrollable smile on his face. Jungkook, all right, Yin. Now turn around and look back at me, he said, stepping closer. You hesitated for a moment, feeling the heat of his gaze, before slowly turning around. The faint breeze carried strands of your hair across your face, and you brushed them aside, stealing a glance over your shoulder. Jungkook, beautiful, just beautiful, Jungkook murmured, more to himself than to you. You weren't the type to pose for pictures. In fact, the idea of being in front of the camera usually made you uncomfortable, but with Jungkook behind the lens, you couldn't help but trust his direction. He always knew how to capture your best angles, and his social media was proof. His profiles changed weekly, always updated with new pictures of you. Jungkook stepped back, examining the photos he had taken. His face lit up with pride as he walked over, sandals in one hand and your purse casually hanging around his neck. Jungkook, how is it even possible that someone's marrying this gorgeous lady? Look, he asked dramatically, holding the camera out as if showing the photos to an imaginary crowd. You rolled your eyes but couldn't suppress your grin, playing along. Yin, her fiancé must be the luckiest guy alive. Jungkook's eyes widened, and he placed a hand over his chest, his face showing jealousy. Jungkook, lucky? He's too lucky. Honestly, I'm jealous of him. You couldn't hold back your laughter, playfully slapping his bicep. Yin, stop it, you're so ridiculous. But before you could say more, he wrapped an arm around your waist, pulling you against him in one swift motion. His lips found your cheek in a loud, out-of-control kiss, making you wiggle in protest. Yin, Jungkook, you whined, trying to push him away, but his grip tightened. Jungkook, where are you running, huh? I'm not done with these cheeks yet. Why are you so cute, huh? He teased, smirking as you shifted in his hold. You knew what was coming. Jungkook had a strange obsession with your cheeks, and once he started, he wouldn't stop until they were flushed red and covered in his saliva. Yin, okay, let me go, please, you pleaded, laughing uncontrollably. As you both walked towards the car, Jungkook chuckled, finally loosening his grip. Jungkook, all right, but wait, wear your sandals. You froze mid-step, watching as he bent down in front of you. His long fingers carefully brushed the sand from your feet, his touch gentle and deliberate. The simple act made your heart swell and a soft blush crept across your cheeks. Yin, you don't have to do that, you said quietly, your voice barely above a whisper. Jungkook, stay still, he replied, his tone firm yet tender. He slipped the sandals onto your feet with practiced ease, his fingers grazing your skin just long enough to leave a tingling sensation. Once he finished, Jungkook stood up, brushing his hands off with a satisfied look. But before he could move, you grabbed his hands, holding them tightly. Jungkook, hey, he began, but you cut him off, using the hem of your dress to dust off the remaining sand from his fingers. Yin, stop moving, you muttered, narrowing your eyes playfully. His gaze softened as he watched you, and for the first time in a while, Jungkook looked genuinely flustered. A faint blush dusted his cheeks, and he glanced away, pretending to clear his throat. Yin, let's go, you said, intertwining your fingers with his and giving them a light squeeze. Without another word, Jungkook followed you toward his car, his usual confidence replaced by a bashful smile. As you reached the vehicle, he opened the door for you like the gentleman he always was, waiting until you were seated comfortably before walking around to the driver's side. The mall was buzzing with life. You had been moving from store to store, your gaze moving over the displays, but your shopping bags told a different story. Hardly anything had been bought. Jungkook, however, had become an expert at carrying your bags, his biceps flexing slightly with the weight. Though he carried them with ease, you weren't the type to instantly buy something. Every choice felt like a hard decision. Whether it was clothes, shoes, or accessories, you'd think, compare, and think again. Jungkook had gotten used to this over the past year of your engagement, and now, he not only tolerated it but made it his mission to guide you. He knew your preferences better than anyone else and would often pick things you didn't even realize you wanted. As you approached a perfume shop, ready to step inside, Jungkook suddenly slowed his pace. Something had caught his attention. His sharp eyes locked onto the neighboring store, a lingerie store. His lips curled into a smirk as a mischievous thought crossed his mind. Yin, Jungkook, you questioned, glancing up at him curiously. He shifted the shopping bags to one hand, his other arm snaking around your waist to pull you closer, leaning down, his breath fanned against your ear as he whispered, "Jungkook, we already have enough perfume, darling. Let's shop for something more essential." The deep vocal of his voice sent shivers down your spine. Your cheeks turned crimson as you registered his words, and your gaze darted to the store he was referring to. "Yin, are you serious?" you asked, your voice barely above a whisper. He tilted his head, faking innocence. "Jungkook, why wouldn't I be?" You stopped in your tracks, your face pale as you looked around. The mannequins, dressed in lacy, barely their lingerie, made you swallow hard. You turned to him, pleading softly, "Yin, Jungkook, I can shop for these things by myself. I don't need." But he ignored you, gently pushing you inside the store. The moment you stepped in, your face turned a deep shade of red. The mannequins were dressed in the most provocative lingerie you'd ever seen. Lace barely their under adorned the shelves and racks. Your eyes darted around nervously, while Jungkook moved through the store with the confidence of someone who owned the place. He started finding the best piece for you. He stopped suddenly, his eyes lighting up as he spotted something on one of the mannequins. "Jungkook, YN, he called, motioning for you to come closer. Half-heartedly, you stepped toward him, and your jaw dropped when you saw what had caught his attention. The mannequin was dressed in a sultry black lingerie set, complete with a collar and that barely covered anything. The tangled lace pattern was as bold as it was, and you immediately shook your head. "Yin, no, absolutely not," you said, your voice trembling slightly, ignoring your protest with a smirk. Jungkook called down for one of the sales assistant. "Jungkook, excuse me, can I get this piece in her size?" Your heart raced as he placed his hands on your shoulders, gently moving you aside so the saleswoman could take a better look at your figure. The assistant smiled kindly at your embarrassment and nodded. "I believe we have it," she said before hurrying off to find the item. As soon as she was out of sight, you turned to Jungkook, hitting his chest lightly with your fists. "Yin, Jungkook, where would I even wear something like that? It's ridiculous." He chuckled, the deep sound rumbling through his chest. "Jungkook, why not, Yin?" "Because," you exclaimed, your words tumbling out in a rush, "I can't wear it under clothes, obviously, not on the beach, and definitely not in public." "Jungkook, whoa, calm down," he interrupted, raising his hands in mock surrender. You glared at him, your lips pressed into a thin line. "Yin, it's useless," you said stubbornly. His lips curled into a smirk as he leaned down, his face inches from yours. "Jungkook, you really don't know, do you?" You frowned in confusion, and before you could respond, his hand slid around the back of your neck, his thumb softly brushing your skin. His voice dropped, becoming low and intimate, as he whispered, "Jungkook, in the bedroom," he whispered, his lips hovering just over yours, "in front of me." The confidence in his tone and the way his eyes locked onto yours made your breath hitch, your heart raced, and you felt heat crawl up your neck as he leaned back, withdrawing his hand as if nothing had happened. Before you could respond, the sales assistant returned, holding 2 sets of the lingerie in slightly different sizes. She approached with a warm smile. "I wasn't sure about the exact size, so I brought both options. You can try them on to see which fits best." Your eyes widened in horror, and you shook your head quickly, turning to Jungkook in desperation. But his smirk told you exactly what he was thinking. Taking the pieces from the saleswoman, he thanked her with a polite nod. "Jungkook, thank you. We'll let you know once we've decided." Turning back to you, he held up the delicate pieces, clearly enjoying your embarrassment. "Jungkook, shall we?" Jungkook didn't waste a second, firmly but gently grabbing your hand and taking you toward the ladies' trial room. You tried to resist, pulling back slightly. You looked at him helplessly, your vulnerability clear in your expression. "Yin, Jungkook, wait, you stammered, your voice filled with embarrassment. "I can't. This is so revealing and vulgar." Jungkook stopped just in front of the trial room, turning back to face you with a mischievous expression. The corners of his lips tugged upward in a devilish grin. "Jungkook, it's just me, YN," he said softly, his voice warm and teasing. "Please try it on, and show me both sizes, okay?" Before you could protest further, he pushed the door open and gently nudged you inside. Your face burned red as you stumbled into the small space, clutching the delicate lingerie in your hands. Before closing the door, he leaned in slightly, his voice dropping to a playful whisper. "Jungkook, and don't forget, if you need any help," he smirked, loud enough for you to hear, "just call me." The door clicked shut, and you stood there, your heart pounding like a drum. You could hear him chuckling faintly from the other side, clearly enjoying your flustered state. Your gaze shifted to the lingerie in your hands, and you groaned, stomping your foot in frustration. Wearing something like this, even in private, was so far out of your comfort zone that you couldn't believe you were even considering it. Yin, why does he always do this? You muttered to yourself, heat flooding your cheeks. Despite being engaged for nearly a year, the idea of wearing something so revealing, even in front of him, felt mortifying. But Jungkook always had a way of pushing you into situations like this. You sighed, knowing you didn't really have a choice. You hesitated as your trembling fingers slowly removed your clothes, leaving you bare in the small trial room. Taking a deep breath, you slipped into the delicate black lingerie. As you adjusted the and smoothed the fabric over your body, your breath hitched. The reflection staring back at you in the mirror was almost unrecognizable. Yin, oh my god, you whispered, staring at yourself in disbelief. The tiny fabric hugged your curves perfectly. The black lace hugged your hips, barely covering anything. Where the top showcased your in a way that made your cheeks flush. It was scandalous, yet without any doubts. Your eyes fell on the with its delicate bell lying nearby. You hadn't thought to wear it as you didn't feel the need for it. You hesitated, biting your lip as the thought of Jungkook's reaction sent a mix of excitement and nervousness through you. You were curious to see Jungkook's reaction. Would he tease you more, or would he be left speechless? The thought made your cheeks flush a deeper red. Before you could decide, a knock on the door made you jump. Jungkook. Yin, Jungkook's voice was low, almost impatient. You froze, heart racing. Yin, why yeah. Jungkook, are you done? Can I come in? You bit your lip, debating for a moment before unlocking the door. Jungkook pushed the door open slowly, his dark eyes immediately scanning the room until they landed on you. The door closed behind him with a soft click, and his expression shifted as his gaze roamed over your body. Standing with your hands clutched shyly, his eyes started at your lips, lingering on your smooth face and the way the barely covered your. His Adam's apple bobbed as his gaze traveled upward, taking in the delicate fabric that framed your curves. By the time his eyes met yours, his pupils were dilated, and his jaw clenched. Jungkook, he muttered under his breath, stepping closer. You took a hesitant step back, your hands nervously clasped behind your back. Yin, it's too much, right? I should. Jungkook, no, he interrupted, his voice deep and commanding. The hunger in his gaze made your body heat up, and you instinctively looked away, your cheeks burning. Jungkook, goddamn, it's perfect, you're perfect, he muttered under his breath, stepping closer. You took a small step back, only for him to cage you against the mirror, his hands resting on either side of your head. The intensity in his eyes made your knees weak as he leaned down slightly, his breath fanning your face. Jungkook, you look so hot, so breathtaking, baby, he murmured, his eyes never leaving yours. How am I supposed to control myself when you look like this? You swallowed hard, averting your gaze. Yin, you've seen it now. I am going to change, okay? A dark chuckle escaped his lips, and he leaned closer, his breath warm against your ear. Jungkook, change? So soon? Nah, baby, not yet. His eyes flicked to the floor, spotting the kid. He bent down to pick it up, his fingers brushing your leg as he did so. The simple touch sent shivers up your spine, and you pressed your back against the mirror, trying to steady yourself. Jungkook, let me complete the look, he said, his voice smooth and teasing. Before you could protest, he turned you around to face the mirror, your hands pressed against the cool mirror as Jungkook gently buckled the collar around your neck. His feet brushed against your skin, sending shivers down your spine. Jungkook, there, he said, his voice low and husky. Perfect. His eyes suddenly landed on your head. He flew under his breath, a sound that made your heart race. You couldn't meet his gaze in the mirror, your face burning with embarrassment. He moved closer, his firm hands resting on your shoulders before he pulled you against his chest. The warmth of his clothes enveloped you almost bare, his breath hot on your neck as he nuzzled into the soft curve just below. Yin, Jungkook, you whispered, your voice trembling. Jungkook, you're so, he murmured, his hands sliding down from your shoulders to your. Overwhelmed by the intensity, you instinctively pulled away, your breathing uneven as you turned to face him. Yin, Jungkook, stop, you said, your voice bold despite the lingering sensations. He bit his lip, desperation and excitement mingling in his dark gaze. The resistance only seemed to fuel his teasing nature. You stepped back, placing your hands on his chest to push him toward the door. Yin, you're not allowed in here anymore. Go away, he smirked, not moving an inch. Jungkook, but baby, you were enjoying it, he said, his tone playful and taunting. Yin, out, you whined, your hands on his chest as you pushed him toward the door. He chuckled, stepping back but wedging his foot under the door. Jungkook, come on YRN, just one more minute. Yin, please. Jungkook, you whined, your cheeks burning as you pleaded. Let me change. Something about your pleading tone made him finally move away. He backed off with a dramatic pout, letting you close the door. Jungkook leaned against the wall, running a hand through his hair as he tried to regain control. His chest rose and fell with deep breaths, his lips curling into a satisfied smirk as he glanced down at his pants, the visible effect you had on him. Inside, you leaned against the mirror, your reflection catching your attention. Your hand rose to your neck, tracing the dark hickey he had left. The sight of it made your cheeks flush even deeper, and your body tingled with the memory of his touch. Yin, idiot, you muttered under your breath, shaking your head to clear the lingering haze. Suddenly, his voice came from outside, loud and teasing. Jungkook, I heard that. Your eyes widened, your face burning as his laugh echoed from the other side of the door. You gulped, your heart pounding as you quickly slipped out of the revealing outfit, pulling on your clothes in hurry. You tried to calm yourself, running your fingers through your hair and rubbing your ears to shake off the flustered feeling. Once you were composed, well, somewhat, you unlocked the door and stepped out, only to find Jungkook casually leaning against the wall right outside. His smirk was impossible to miss without looking at him directly. You turned your back and pointed to the collar still snug around your neck. Yin, open this, you said curtly, your voice barely above a whisper. His dark eyes flicked to the collar, his lips twitching as he bit back a smirk. For a moment, you could see the dirty thoughts flicker in his gaze, but he quickly pushed them aside. Jungkook stepped closer, his fingers brushing against your neck as he unclasped the collar. The sensation sent a fresh wave of warmth to your cheeks, but you refused to meet his gaze. The second it was off, you handed the dress to him and spun on your heel, storming out of the store without a word. Jungkook, hey, wait, he called after you, hurrying to pay for the lingerie and grab the rest of his bags. At least let me bill for these. You ignored him, your pace quickening as you tried to put as much distance between the two of you as possible. Jungkook, however, wasn't far behind. He was practically running, his long strides catching up to you in no time. Before you could react, his hands found their way to your waist, gently pulling you to his side as he matched your hurried pace. You were still flustered, and in that state, you instinctively swung your elbow back, hitting his chest. Jungkook, ow, he teased with a chuckle, his voice filled with amusement. What was that for? Yin, I hate you, you muttered, trying to sound angry, though your red cheeks said otherwise. Jungkook chuckled, leaning closer as he spoke softly. Jungkook, and I love you. You glared at him, but he only grinned wider. His hand stayed on your waist, holding you close as the two of you continued walking together. It was late evening, and the soft glow of the bedside lamp shone Jungkook's room as you lay stretched out on your stomach, scrolling aimlessly on your phone. You had been complaining of a stomachache, and Jungkook, being ever attentive, had gone to the kitchen to make you a chocolate milkshake. He'd insisted you stay the night with him, something he always did when he didn't want you to leave. And while you had initially hesitated, you couldn't say no deep down. You enjoyed his company far too much. Unaware of the time, you stayed immersed in your phone until the door creaked open. You glanced back and saw Jungkook entering with a wide smile, a glass of chocolate milkshake in hand. Jungkook, here it is. Chocolate milkshake for my beautiful lady. His voice was warm, and his eyes sparkled as he approached the bed. You returned his smile as he set the glass down on the nightstand beside you. Without thinking, his hand reached out, gently massaging your lower back, his touch comforting. Jungkook, does it still hurt a lot? You shook your head slightly, resting your chin on your forearm. Yin, not really. I think I ate something bad earlier. He nodded in understanding, brushing a strand of hair out of your face. He leaned down, pressing a soft kiss on your cheek, making you smile despite the discomfort. Jungkook, should we watch a movie or go to sleep? You sighed softly, turning onto your side to look up at him. Yin, let's just sleep. I'm too tired. Jungkook, alright then. He kissed your shoulder affectionately before sitting beside you on the bed. You sat up to grab the milkshake, taking a small sip, savoring the sweetness. Just then, your phone buzzed, its screen lighting up with a call. Mom. Your eyes widened, and you instinctively moved to grab the phone, but Jungkook's reflexes were faster. He snatched it up before you could, a mischievous grin spreading across his face. Yin, Jungkook, no, give it back. You screamed and ran toward him, but he easily dodged, raising the phone high above his head. Ignoring your protests, he swiped to answer the call and put it on speaker. Jungkook, hey mom, how's my another beautiful lady doing? Your mom's warm chuckle filled the room, and you sat froze carefully listening to him. Mom, hello, my Jungkook, I'm good. How are you and Yin? She hasn't come home yet. Jungkook, nope, she's staying here tonight. Sorry we forgot to let you know. He smirked down at you, enjoying the panic in your eyes as you frantically shook your head, silently begging him not to say anything stupid to make you embarrassed. Mom, oh, that's fine. What did you do today? His smirk deepened, and you knew he was about to cross the line. Jungkook, well, we had breakfast outside, then went to the beach. After that, we went shopping, bought some casual clothes, formals, lingerie. Your eyes widened in horror, and before he could finish, you threw yourself at him, straddling his lap. You pressed a hand over his mouth, muffling his words. Yin, hey mom, that's all really. Then we came home. Love you, bye. You quickly ended the call, tossing the phone onto the bed and glaring at Jungkook, who was now laughing uncontrollably beneath you. Yin, what is wrong with you? He grinned, leaning back on his hands as he looked at you with amused eyes. Jungkook, why don't you ever let me talk to her properly? He pouted dramatically, but you weren't having it. Raising your eyebrows, you gave his chest a light slap. Yin, you know exactly why. Stop pretending. Jungkook tilted his head, pretending to think as if he had no idea what you were talking about. You huffed and slid off his lap, sulking as you grabbed your drink again to distract yourself. Jungkook, alright, sorry baby. He held his hands up in mock surrender, but his grin never faded. Once you finished the milkshake, you handed him the empty glass and pulled the blanket over yourself, turning away from him. Jungkook, hey, don't be mad, it's not a big deal. He set the glass on the nightstand and climbed under the blanket with you, wrapping his arms around your waist. He pulled you flush against him, his leg draping possessively over yours. Yin, go away, Jungkook, you whined, wriggling in his hold, but he only tightened his grip, his voice low and teasing. Jungkook, I'm sorry. Come on, don't be mad. Give me a kiss, and I promise I'll behave. Despite your irritation, you felt a small smile tug at your lips. No matter how much he teased you, Jungkook always had a way of making your heart flutter. You couldn't help but laugh, the sound soft and amused, his playful smirk widen at your reaction, and before you could guess his next move, he shifted closer, his strong arms caging you in as he hovered over you. His lips pressed quick, teasing pecks on yours, making you giggle at the speed of his actions. But what started as playful soon changed. His kiss slowed, becoming deliberate, deep, and lingering. Your laughter faded as the intensity grew, and you felt yourself getting lost in the warmth of his lips. The kiss turned into something more intense and consuming, his touched against yours, seeking and in a way that made your breath catch. You instinctively wrapped your arms around his shoulders, pulling him closer as if to tell him you didn't want him to. The room filled with the sound of your moving together, and passionate. Jungkook frowned slightly, as though even this wasn't enough for him, and he tilted his head to deepen the kiss further. His hand slid up, cupping the side of your face gently, while his other hand beats beside you for support. He kissed you like he wanted to savor every second, leaving you gasping for air, and you had to back slightly, your chest rising and falling rapidly. Yin, Jungkook, your voice was soft, barely above a whisper, as you tried to brace yourself. His dark, filled eyes met yours, and for a moment, you thought he might kiss you again, but instead, he snapped out of it, his expression shifting to concern as he began stroking your cheek with his thumb. Jungkook, I'm sorry, I got carried away. Are you okay? Did I hurt you? His voice was tender, and he pressed a soft kiss to your cheek as if to apologize, but before you could reassure him, he leaned in again, this time your cheek without warning. Yin, Jungkook, you gasped, your hands flying to his chest to push him away. He pulled back, his lips curving into a mischievous grin as he gently spot he'd just marked. The sensation sent a shiver down your spine, and you frowned, trying to process what he'd just done. Yin. No, you didn't. Your tone was one of disbelief. Grabbing your phone, you quickly opened the front camera to inspect the damage, and there it was, a bright red mark on your cheek. Yin. Jungkook, it's huge. He burst into laughter, unable to contain himself anymore, as you grabbed a pillow and started hitting him with it. Yin. This won't go away easily. Why did you do that? Instead of looking guilty, he bit his lip to hold back his laughter, his eyes sparkling with amusement. Yin. What is wrong with you? Jungkook, I'm sorry. I swear I didn't mean to do it. His laughter betrayed him though, as he tried and failed to dodge your playful attacks. Yin. Not funny. You huffed, throwing the pillow at him one last time before crossing your arms. He reached out, his grin softening into a fond smile. Jungkook, okay, I'm sorry. I got carried away, but you look cute with it. You glared at him, unimpressed. Yin, you're sleeping on the sofa tonight. His eyes widened in mock horror. Jungkook, what? No, Yin, you can't do this to me. After so long, we're finally sleeping together, and you want to kick me out. You pointed at the sofa sternly, but he climbed back onto the bed anyway, lying beside you like a scolded child. Jungkook, fine, I'll be good. Look, I'm lying still. I won't do anything. Sleep. He patted the spot beside him with an innocent expression, making you roll your eyes. You sighed in defeat and lay down, pulling the blanket over yourself. But as soon as you settled, Jungkook seized the opportunity to wrap his arms around you tightly, pulling you flush against his chest. Yin. Jungkook, I said. Jungkook, shh. I'm sorry, okay? Don't be mad. Good night, baby. He kissed the top of your head softly, his hold on you firm yet comforting. Despite your initial annoyance, the warmth of his embrace and the soothing rhythm of his breathing began to calm you. You let out a small sigh, leaning into his chest as sleep started to claim you. The early morning light filtered softly through the curtains as Jungkook stirred awake. His face was nestled against your stomach, his arms draped protectively around your waist, and your legs trapped securely beneath his. His slow, even breaths tickled your skin as he shifted slightly, seeking comfort in your warmth. Jungkook groaned lightly, lifting himself onto one arm and yawning lazily. He rubbed his eyes with one hand, the other still resting on your side. Sleep clung to him as he reached for the blanket, intending to adjust it over you, but his movements stilled when something caught his eye. His gaze locked onto a faint but unfamiliar mark on the bedsheet near your hips. His brows knitted together in confusion, and he leaned in closer to inspect it. Realization hit him like a truck. A faint blush crept onto his cheeks as he recognized the bloodstain. His eyes darted to your peaceful, sleeping figure, then back to the mark. Jungkook, oh, is this? Wait, is she? His mouth fell open slightly as he stared at it, his thoughts racing. It was his first time encountering something like this, and a mix of emotions overwhelmed him. A mix of emotions swirled within him: surprise, embarrassment, and an overwhelming wave of protectiveness. His hand instinctively ran through his messy hair as he paced the room, trying to figure out what to do next. Jungkook, what do I do? Pads? Fresh clothes? Damn it. Jungkook, think. He glanced at you again, the memory of your last period flashing in his mind. How much pain you were in, how you clutched your stomach and winced through every cramp. His heart ached at the thought. Jungkook, oh baby. He glanced at your sleeping figure, your peaceful expression tugging at his heart. He wanted to wake you up and check on you, but seeing how soundly you slept, he decided against it. Instead, he gently raised the blanket higher over your body, tucking you in securely. He paused by the dresser, remembering the lingerie you both had bought the previous day. Blushing furiously, he quickly checked the tag on one of your underwear to confirm the size before bolting out of the room. An hour later, you stirred awake with a long yawn, stretching your arms above your head. The peaceful slumber left your body feeling heavy, but as you shifted, a sharp, unmistakable pain shot through your lower abdomen. Your eyes flew open, your hand instinctively clutching your stomach. Yin, no. It's too early. It can't be. Your heart sank as a sinking realization washed over you. The wetness you felt confirmed your fears. Swallowing hard, you looked around the room, your gaze scanning for Jungkook. He wasn't there. Panic bubbled up as you quickly got up from the bed to check the bed. Crossing your fingers tightly, you whispered a silent prayer. Yin, please, God no, not the sheets. Slowly, you peeked over your shoulder and froze. Your worst fear had come true. A faint but obvious bloodstain marked the center of the bed where you had been sleeping, your cheeks flushed with embarrassment as a horrifying thought crossed your mind. Yin, damn it. No, 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 please tell me Jungkook didn't see this. Your stomach churned at the idea of him noticing. But before you could process further, the door creaked open. Your eyes widened as Jungkook stepped in, carrying a small shopping bag. Without thinking, you scrambled to sit on the stain, awkwardly positioning yourself to block his view. You pressed your hands firmly against the mattress and blanket on either side to hide the evidence completely, your pulse racing. Yin thinking, this is so embarrassing. What if he saw it? What will he think? That I'm a child? You blinked rapidly, heart pounding as panic settled in. You desperately tried to think of a way to make him leave without noticing the stain, but your mind went blank. Every possible excuse felt weak, and Jungkook was already walking closer. Jungkook smirked knowingly as he observed your hurried movements, the way you shifted awkwardly on the bed, and how tightly your hand gripped the blanket. The tension in your shoulders and your wide eyes screamed that you were hiding something. He placed the plate of food gently on the nightstand, his sharp gaze never leaving your flustered face. The corner of his lips twitched with amusement as he leaned slightly closer, his tone calm yet teasing. Jungkook, why don't you get up and take a bath? Then we can eat together. His words made your heart race. You stammered, trying to find an excuse, but your voice betrayed your nervousness. Yin, I will. I just need a moment. Jungkook tilted his head, clearly entertained by your reaction, suppressing a grin. He sat beside you on the bed, your grip on the blanket tightened even more, your body shifting slightly as if to shield the area from his view. His dark eyes sparkled with mischief as he leaned closer, lowering his voice to a playful whisper. Jungkook, are you seriously trying to hide it from me now? Your breath hitched at his words. You quickly averted your gaze, glancing around the room as if searching for an escape route. Yin, what are you talking about? He chuckled softly, clearly enjoying the way you squirmed under his gaze. Leaning in, he placed a soft kiss on your lips before pulling back, his voice dropping into a warm, teasing tone. Jungkook, how cute can you possibly be, huh? Your face turned crimson, and you felt a wave of embarrassment wash over you. Yet, you still didn't admit anything, hoping he'd let it go. Standing up, he walked over to the cupboard, pulled out a small bag, and placed it on the bed beside you. Jungkook, I warmed the water for you. Go take a bath and change. His voice was gentle, filled with care. Your eyes widened in surprise, guilt written all over your face. You looked at him with wide, puppy-like hesitant eyes. Yin, you already know, don't you? He smiled softly, crouching down to meet your eyes. Jungkook, of course I do. You're going to be my wife, Yin, and I also noticed this time it's early. It's not even your usual period timing. You nodded quickly, eager to explain. Yin, yes, that's why it happened. Otherwise, I always make sure something like this doesn't happen. Jungkook's expression softened further. He reached out, tucking a loose strand of hair behind your ear, his voice filled with warmth. Jungkook, and so what if it did? You're free to stain as many bed sheets as you want. Heck, you can paint the whole house red, and I'll clean up after you. Your eyes widened in horror at his exaggerated statement, and you quickly slapped his arm, your voice tinged with a mix of embarrassment and irritation. Yin, shut up, idiot. You say whatever comes to your mind without thinking. Jungkook burst out laughing, clearly enjoying your reaction. His hand moved to gently trace the faint mark on your cheek from the previous night, his eyes softening as he looked at you. Jungkook, all right, go change. We'll eat afterward, okay? You nodded, grabbing the blanket and wrapping it securely around your waist before taking the bag he'd prepared for you. Jungkook's eyes followed you as you walked into the bathroom, a small smile lingering on his lips. As the door clicked shut, Jungkook turned his attention to the bed. His gaze fell on the faint stain, and he paused, his chest tightening with an unfamiliar warmth. He stared at it for a moment, his mind racing. Instead of tossing the sheet into the laundry, he carefully folded it and placed it in the back of the cupboard. Jungkook, I'll wash it later. Though, deep down, he knew he'd probably just look at it again and smile like a fool. When you finally emerged from the bathroom, freshly changed and looking refreshed, your eyes landed on the bed. A clean sheet was neatly spread, and Jungkook was casually scrolling through his phone. He noticed you immediately and set his phone aside, patting his lap invitingly. Jungkook, come here, baby. You smiled shyly. Walking over to him, he pulled you onto his lap, wrapping an arm securely around your waist. Reaching for the plate of sandwiches, he held one up to your lips. Jungkook, here, eat. You took a bite, humming in delight. Yin, this is so good. Jungkook chuckled, leaning in to press a tender kiss to your forehead. Jungkook, enjoy it. But after this, you're going on a healthy diet. Your periods are getting irregular, and that's not good. You pouted, but his concern warmed your heart. Leaning into his chest, you felt a sense of comfort and care that eased all your earlier embarrassment as he continued to feed you. Yin, are you going to work today? He shook his head, his lips curling into a playful smirk. Yin, so, does that mean I'm not going home today? Jungkook, not until your period ends. I'm keeping you with me for the next 4 or 5 days. After that, I'll drop you home. Any problem with that? He raised an eyebrow dramatically, and you chuckled at his behavior. Yin, well, you'll have to ask my mom first. Jungkook laughed, shaking his head confidently. Jungkook, your mom loves me. She won't say no. You nodded, a soft smile gracing your lips as you rested your head against his shoulder. The moment was warm and intimate, filled with love, care, and just the right amount of teasing to make your heart flutter.